Hello everyone. So welcome to Discovery Session 1. So before diving directly into the topic, we'll be looking what is CMDB from the basics and everything. So first of all, let's see what is CMDB. Like every organization will have particular assets, and they always tend to maintain them with productivity as well as every organization needs profitability. So CMDB is used to capture these assets and maintain them in a database. So after that comes into picture is why CMDB, why can't we use some other tool? So to actually capture whatever assets we have in the using CIs and everything, so to get accurate information of the infrastructure, and also it is also used to support the teams to investigate and resolve issues faster. So coming to the next point, what is CSDM? CSDM is the database which contains the CIs. So CSDM is a framework for CMDB. So CSDM is nothing but which defines which tells CMDB like at which places it needs to be used. So in general terms, we call it as a framework for the CMDB. And what is an SCI? CI is nothing but configuration item is anything which is inside the infrastructure of a company. For example, a company has a laptop, Wi-Fi router, and mouse, keyboard, everything which comes under an organization which wants to be tracked, which wants to have a particular uh, record to be maintained and see the everything. So that is called as CI. And after that, what is a mid server? Mid server is nothing but a lightweight Java application which runs to send and return requests to and from the ServiceNow. So there is no dedicated hardware which is required to run the mid server. Especially, you don't need to require any other external hardware in order to run this mid server. But in the course, they have mentioned that mid server is a lightweight application, guys. But there is a time where I suffer, where after installing the mid server, like it has been using around, sometimes it's using 90% of the space. But still, it's a controllable unit. You just need to look into it. You just need to do some research and everything on your own. So before installation, we'll be looking mid server is used in various applications. For example, in discovery, mid server is used to find the computers, servers, printers, IP devices, uh, probes using probes and sensors, which collects and process data on a host and update them on CMDB. It's also used in event management to identify health issues across the data center. It's also used in Integration Hub, which enables execution of third party APIs as a part of the flow. It's also used in orchestration as well as service mapping. So, orchestration will be looking in more forward sessions. For now, it's just like an automation. And service mapping is nothing but which connects or maps each in different CIs. So we'll be looking what are the different phases present in the discovery. So whatever instructions are there, they are placed in an output probes called as ECC. So ECC is nothing but external communication channel. So they'll, in just simple terms, I just use this worker constantly checks whether if there is any instruction placed inside the ECC queue, because in ServiceNow instances are prevented back from connecting back to the mid server. So there's a particular reason for that. You can go out to the product documentation and do your research. And depending upon the type of probe, the mid server checks what kind of discovery target it got. If the response from the discovery target is returned to this ECC queue in the form of input probes, sensors take the details from the payload and further processes followed. So after that, we'll be looking what are the different types of discovery we have. We have horizontal as well as vertical or top down. People always also call it as. So horizontal discovery means nothing but it just populate the CMDB with the CIs. So it just scans for the CIs. It brings the CIs and it will populate the CIs into the CMDB module. So vertical or top down uses service mapping to map the CS. So while in the main picture, both the horizontal as well as top down discovery works together to find the CIs first and then map them using service mapping and everything. So there are different phases in horizontal discovery. For example, the first phase is scanning. Discovery scans if there is any device present or not. by sending some probes. We'll be looking what these probes and everything in further. Right now, don't need to understand what and everything. So it just sends some like a sensor kind of thing, just checks if there is any CI present or not. So after that, if the CI is present, if the device is found, then it will classify that particular device using probes. So it just detects the classification. So after the classification is detected, it will just identify and explore based on the CI and the criteria. The discovery determines what type of device it is. So after that, after knowing the basics of everything, we'll be directly diving into the installation of the mid server. So for that, once again, let me show you the ServiceNow instance. I guess you can see my instance running. Okay, so the first point which you need to be noted before installing mid servers. So mid server is it's a management instrumentation discovery. We have seen the meaning and everything in just before a couple of minutes. So there are some quick points which you need to be noted. Installing mid. So before installing the mid server, whenever you install the mid server, try to install the mid server as close as possible to the target, because there are some parameters which will vary. For example, bandwidth varies. The more the bandwidth, the more stronger the mid server works, more accurate, you can say. uh, After that, geographic location also varies in this, and IP access targets also. So we also have one more different topic which we'll be covering very soon, that is mid service server clustering. So multiple mid servers clustering together for load balancing and fail protection thing. So before doing mid server clustering, let me show you how you need to install the mid server. Before installing, the first step which you need to follow is, in your system, not the instance, in your particular system, you just need to become an admin. So for that, you just need to go to your control panel. Let me go to the control panel. Let me bring it to the next screen. Okay, in the control panel, you have one section called as user accounts. You just click on that, and inside the user account, you have change account type. You just select your user account, and there will be an option called as change account type. Uh, Out of box, it will be standard, guys. But you just need, in order to use a mid server, it is better to become an administrator, because we'll be using a lot of stuff like advanced CMDB and everything concept. So for that, we it is better to use as an administrator. As I'm already an administrator, you can see, so I don't need to do this step. But people who are newly, who are installing mid servers and everything, it is better to have this step. So after you have this step, you just need to go to a guided setup, which is very important. In guided setup, in item guided setup, you can see. So after you come into the guided setup, so the first thing which you need to do, there'll be a section called as mid server, where you need to create a mid server account. So in order to create a mid server account, most of the people think, okay, I'll just create just directly into the my sys users table, and I'll just create a user account. So please, friends, don't do like that, because there is a reason for that. For example, I've already created one mid server account, but you just need to create using this particular. For example, I'll quickly show you. I've created a user account called as mid admin. Okay, so I think okay, okay, I've created a user account called as mid admin using this. If you create user using directly diving to this table, you just don't know what roles you need to give. So for example, if you create a user using this particular guided setup, you will have some roles which will be inherited automatically. For example, mid server role is the most important role. With this, there will be 9 different roles which will be out of box, which will be very important. So better follow this and do the recordings. So after you create the mid server user, you just need to go and install the mid server. For example, you just need to go and click the configure, and according to your OS type, for example, mine is Windows 64-bit operating system, so I'll just download it from here. And if some other OS, for example, most of the people will be using hard code coders, for example. Uh, Of course, I hope hardcore coders are watching my video. So uh, so proud. So they'll be using Linux OS and everything. Some will be more hardcore coders will be using Linux Debian, so they might use. And I don't even know what Linux Docker recipe is. But you can always download, even if your OS is not there. For example, Parrot OS, something like that. I don't even know what that is. So still, you have an option to download the as a zip RQ, and you can use it as an ISO file, and you can burn it. You know what I'm talking. So after you download, let me quickly show you. After you download the mid server, so you just need to copy that whatever downloaded files into the Windows seed directory, because there's a reason, guys, because we if we change anything in the download section, that may actually affect your complete package of the mid server. So we just make a copy just in the mid Windows C drive. So after you go to the C drive, go to the agent folder. Inside the agent folder, there'll be a section called as configure. Configure XML file. Inside the configure XML file, let me show you. Inside the configure XML file, there'll be a section called as URL where you need to give your instance URL, and there'll be a section called as username where you we have created a mid admin, right? So you just need to give the username as well as the password for the particular user. After that, this will directly connect to your instance by using this start uh, batch file, which you need to double click. So according to me, following this process is not good, because if you just click on this, it'll just CMDB will open, it'll just disappear within particular seconds. You don't even know what the process is going for. So for that, we have one more crucial step, like most of the people will miss it. You just open the command prompt and run it as an administrator. So my command prompt is open. Okay, let me drag it here. Okay, so I'll just go to, okay, so dir, so I'll just go to mid server. I'm inside the mid server, and let me go to cd agent. Okay, and again I'll go to, so from here I'll just start the start bat. So once you click on the start, you'll just get whatever information you want, you can see in front of your eyes. So for example, it is telling unable to install the ServiceNow mid server service because it is already existing. So I already told you I already installed the mid server. For example, in order to see your mid servers, you just need to type mid server, and inside the servers you can see I already mid server is installed, and the status will be up. For most of the people, the status will be down. Don't worry, don't panic. So for that, you just need to come to the command prompt using advanced, administrator access. You just come to the directory into the folder agent, and you just need to stop the mid server as well as the start it again. So it just takes some a couple of 5 to 10 minutes. Uske baad your server will be up, so don't ever worry about that. So uh, after that, you just there'll be one more UI, related link called as validate karke. You just need to click on that. Until and unless you click on validate, no information will be fetched from your system. So once you click the validate, so you'll have all the details and everything. So apart from that, we have a lot of sections which we will cover every section and everything upon in the session 3 and 4. But right now, we have installed the mid server. We will now see what is clustering. Let's see what is clustering. It's our cluster. So basically, to tell in the normal terms what a clustering is, let me quickly show you. So nothing, friends. It's just a group of multiple. For example, you have a mid server, and there'll be two different types of clusterings which you can do. One is load balance you can do. One is failover. Load balancing is nothing but if the load on one, you just select two or more. For example, I just quickly show you. You just need to click on new, and you just need to clear. Okay, there'll be type failover as well as load balance. You just need to select type as load balance. So this means nothing but whenever you have more than the basic logic of using this particular thing is, until and unless you have more than two mid servers, there's no point of using this clustering. So right now for testing purpose, I only have one, so it will not work. I know that. don't put it in comments that there's no point in censoring everything. Just for the testing purpose, just for the recording purpose, I'm just for the knowledge. I'm just telling how you can use the clustering and everything. So suppose here there'll be a section called as edit where you can select your mid servers. So after you select your mid servers, if the load on the particular, if the load on one mid server is more, the load will be shifted to the other mid server. So it will be like that. If you select as failover, so if the failover, so for example, if one mid server has been failed, the one mid server status has been completely down. So what if you select the type as failover? So the whatever data which is there in the one mid server will be transferred to the other. So if the mid server fails in the load balance, then what happens? Dogs are answering for that. So yeah, if the mid servers are down, for example, if there is two mid servers and one mid server is completely down, and the type is of load balance, then the discovery process will be completely stopped. So this is the difference between failover and load balance, guys. So before you, there are some couple of points which you need to keep it in mind. Before using this clustering, we just need to select whatever. For example, we are selecting different mid servers here, right? So before selecting that, we just need to see that whether the mid servers are having the same capabilities. So for example, they must be having same similar kind of supporting applications, IP ranges, and capabilities. And a mid server should not be belong to multiple clusters. So that's not a good thing. So we also have one more thing called order field, which is quite interesting. So here you can see the order field. So what order field does is, so whenever you're going through failover or failover protection, somewhere failover cluster. So during the initial work assignment or sorry, the platform mid server selects picks this lowest order field value from the set of candidate mid server described. For example, you have a mid server, we have 10 different mid servers, and the lowest order of the mid server is A. So the whatever the load first goes into the lowest order mid servers, that is A. After that, it will keep on load balancing it according to the numbers, for example, 10, 20, 30. So this is how clustering works. This is how you install the mid server, and this is the basics of CMDB as well as CSDM. These are not the basics of CSDM and CMDB. I can cover that in different session, but right now only this, guys. I hope you everyone understand with minimal uh, words and everything. So thank you. Keep subscribing.